Welcome. Welcome to Create, and this is a show focusing on genealogy and ancestry, and I'm your host, Egyptian Mercado. Today in studio, we have a guest who's actually a professional in genealogy and its research, Maria Romero. Thank you so much, Maria, for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
How are you?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm pretty good too. I'm glad you asked. Thank you so much. You're so nice. So Maria, can you please tell us how you got into genealogy?
Sure. First of all, I just wanted to make the distinction that I'm not professional.
Okay, sorry.
I will totally do people's genealogy for the fun of it, but I don't ask for money for it. So, but I got into genealogy because my uncle on my dad's side was really interested in that part of our family, which comes from Poland and Czechoslovakia, and came over through Ellis Island to North Dakota. And he was really interested to find out where his mom and dad came from. So he started doing a lot of research on the family tree, and he has books and books about it. And that kind of sparked my interest on my mother's side of the family to find out where we come from.
Awesome. That's very interesting. That's a very far journey to make it over here. So tell me about like your genealogy in regards to like why are you doing it? Like what got you into it in the sense of like you said you're not professional. So
just really, I think the reason why people are very into genealogy, or there are many people who are, is because we all want to know where we come from, and a lot of us don't know very far back into our family trees. So there are all these great programs now and places that you can go to find out more about your ancestors and your heritage.
Awesome. Now, just to let you guys know in the audience, I actually will find out my genealogy and my ancestry later on in the show. About 2 weeks ago, I emailed Maria over here with information of my grandparents and whatnot, and hopefully I'll find out that I'm a princess. So we're really hoping on this one for sure. So basically, is it a thing to send information of older generations to you easier in regards to the genealogy aspect?
Well, when you're first starting, one of the first things that you can do is ask your older relatives for all of the information that they have and that they remember. So it's really important in genealogy to start research from the present and work your way back through the past. That way it's easier to connect a name that you find to someone you already have listed in your family tree.
So basically, if I had the information of, my grandparents' names and like their birth dates and of the sorts, it'll be easier for you to get the research, because if someone has the same name, they don't have the same birth date, so there's that, easy access to differentiate.
Absolutely, that's correct.
Okay, cool. So what else should I know in regards to starting research for my ancestry or for anybody out there?
Well, I brought some visual aids to show you.
Oh, awesome.
So anyone who's lived in the area for many years will recognize the main branch of the Boise Public Library on Capitol Boulevard.
Yeah, I've been there a few times before.
This is the Idaho Room. It has a local history collection, and it's dedicated to an avid library supporter, Marjorie Ewing. And it's a lovely room. The wooden bookshelves and the floor give it a refined look. And this room has many books about Idaho history, including old city directories, books about places in Idaho, biographies of Idahoans, and many other items.
So basically, if I had Idaho roots, this is basically the place I would want to go to.
Right. And then what's also great is that there are these cabinets that have clippings from the Idaho Statesman. The newspaper was founded in 1864, so some of the clippings are pretty old. And in addition to the newspaper, there's this cabinet here, which holds old maps of Idaho. This room focuses solely on Idaho, so if your family hasn't lived here for many decades, it may not be right for you to research there.
It seems like a great place to do research, though.
Absolutely, and then the second place that I would suggest is the Idaho Archives, which is located in the Idaho's History Center, and that's on Old Penitentiary Road, just off of Warm Springs Avenue. This place is huge. It has 120,000 square feet of non-government records, and you can see table rock from the research area inside the library.
That is an amazing view.
It is. And then this is the Idaho Archives on the first floor. It has a large entry area and many tall wooden bookshelves that hold lots of information. There are over 3,000 oral history records that were collected through individual interviews, and this is the only place that has these records. And then there are interesting items here like Idaho death certificates prior to 1937, Idaho yearbooks from 1909 to 2006, and a list of the state penitentiary inmates between 1864 and 1947. Now, this room has records on microfilm and microfiche and computers to look at online databases. Next is this wonderful permanent exhibit on Abraham Lincoln and his connection to Idaho, and it has over 200 artifacts and documents in it. So if you're interested in Abraham Lincoln but have never seen artifacts connected to him, then the archives is the place to visit.
Oh, awesome. Is there anything else that's at the Idaho, archives?
No, there's lots of information there that you can look through. It all has to do with Idaho, and that's what's so great about it. So I also brought footage of the Family History Center. It's a local family history center. It's located behind the Idaho Youth Ranch Thrift Store on Overland Road. And you don't have to be a member of the LDS Church in order to do research there, which is great. It's open to the general public at no charge. The center is dedicated to providing support for people researching their family tree. And there are volunteers there that are trained in the methods of genealogical research, and they're there to help you.
Awesome.
So all of these books that you see, the center has about 2,000 books, and the England collection has 400 of those books, including many parish registers. And then there are other categories of books there. The Idaho collection has over 200 books and directories, and there are documents specifically for people with ancestors who've lived here for at least a generation. This location has plenty of viewers to view microfilm. There are over 3,000 microfilms that are kept at this center.
That sounds like a lot. I feel as though those files look extensive. I don't know how they can hold all that information. Is that where they store the microfilms as well?
Yep, you're right. If the center doesn't have a specific microfilm in stock, they'll order it from the main storage facility in Salt Lake City. And that service is free of charge. They'll contact you once the microfilm has arrived. Then if you need to do research in their electronic catalogs, there are a row of computers on the main floor and many more in the basement. So some of those databases you can research using the computers are the Ancestral File Database, the International Genealogical Index, the Pedigree Resources File, and the Social Security Death Index. And then the center occasionally has free classes in genealogy research too.
I love that sign, it's pretty funny.
For a genealogist, there's a lot of truth in that sign.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So there are places to do that you can visit in Boise to do some research, and my question is, do you prefer to do genealogy research at home? Can you tell me the free websites that you can do if you don't want to go into those public domains, or if you just want to know it in a secretive manner? Maybe?
Sure, absolutely. So the US GenWeb project comes to mind. Mm-hmm. The address is usgenweb.org. Okay. And this website has information that was submitted by people who use the site. Mm-hmm. And then Find a Grave is a really good resource. It's findagrave.com, which is crazy name, yeah. But it's a really effective site. Yeah. Okay. And then most of the times headstones headstones have birth and death information. So spouses and other family members are buried next to the person that you're researching. So that Find a Grave site can help you find dates that you might be able to use in your research.
This website is making more and more sense.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it.
And all of that information is submitted by volunteers. You could be a volunteer and you could do that yourself. Awesome. So if the person that you're looking for is in their database, you can find information there. And then another great site is genealogy.org. It has a lot of research information for other countries. Mm-hmm. So if you have ancestors you're trying to track down, it can be a lot of help. And I used that when I researched your information.
Awesome. Clearly these websites sound very helpful, and if you guys want, you should definitely check those out so you can know your ancestry as well.
Yep. And one thing that I should note is that at the Family History Center, mm-hmm. you have access on their computers to Ancestry.com, and it's free. Anybody can go in there and use it. If you use it at home, you have to pay for it.
Oh, awesome.
And I think that Albertson's library on the BSU campus also has access to Ancestry.com for free.
Oh, okay, sweet. And now this is the best part, in my opinion, in regards to today's episode, my family tree, my history, and I'm really excited to see what it's all about. So, what did you know about my family?
Well, one of the first things that I brought was a World War II draft registration card. And this card, right here, is dated from 1942, and it shows your great-grandfather, Gerardo Conti Romero. He was born in 1894 on April 27th, and he was born in Aguadilla, Puerto Rico. And this is the same town in the 1940 census that we looked up on Ancestry.com.
Awesome. I noticed here that he's apparently 47 years old when he registered for World War II. I know at the time frame that the modern medicine wasn't created as well as it was. So I mean, was that a bit too old for his age in regards to signing up? I mean,
well,
I'm not saying he was like old, but
right. 47 was definitely older back then, and you have to think though it was a time of war, and at the time they probably needed everybody that they can get, and it wasn't. It actually was acceptable to be 47 and be in the service at that time.
Understandable. I guess when it comes to war, you can't really complain about certain aspects of age or discrimination in that regards. You need all the help that you can possibly get.
Right.
All right, cool. Is there anything else that you have in regards for me?
Sure. So that document also shows his address and a contact person, which is your great-grandfather. Actually, your great-grandfather gave that person as Ana Nieves, who's your great-grandmother.
Yeah.
So at the bottom of the page is Gerardo's signature, and on the back of the card, which is right there, there's a physical description of Gerardo.
Wow. 5'8", 130. He's pretty average.
And then this is the World War I draft registration card. And
back in time.
That's for Gerardo Conte Romero. So he signed up for 2 drafts, 25 years apart, which is amazing.
Wow.
And that document's dated 1917, and it contains some vital statistics. A birth record was found for your grandfather's father, Carlos, in addition to listing his parents, who are also Augusto Conti's parents, Gerardo and Ana. And this document lists something that's really rare to see on birth records, which is the grandparents of the baby. So that would be your second grandparents. Jose Cortez and Monserrate Romero are the parents of the father of the baby, and Ramon Nieves and Ramona Cordero are the parents of the mother.
Wow, that is definitely a lot to learn.
So a lot
in a
to
matter
process,
of a couple of seconds, guys, just so you know.
And then this is your family tree, which I also have a poster board of. And I have Augusto and his wife, Teresa Torres Nieves, right there. And then Teresa's parents are Manuel Torres and Dominga Nieves Torres.
Yeah.
And then Dominga's parents are Portolata Nieves Cruz and Celestini Marin Hernandez.
Okay.
So then going up another level, Portolatan's parents are Pedro Nieves and Rita Cruz.
Okay.
And then you'll see there Celestini's parents, Murto Torres and Celedonia Rosado.
Wow.
So one branch of your family goes back 3 more generations. How do you feel about that?
Well, how do I feel about this? Considering how this is just a lot of information to take in initially, I'm glad that the Hispanic culture has a tendency of, not fearing away from having tons of children and continuing on the legacy, which is pretty great, and I'm really happy about that.
So how much did you know about your family before I did the research for you?
As far as I'm aware, was that it was just a Spanish culture. I didn't really know much about it. But apparently this is all the time that we have today. But I do hope that I get to learn more about this. And thank you so much. You've opened my eyes up a lot. So thank you so much, Maria, for joining us today in studio. I really do appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm Egyptian Ricardo, and this was 208 Create Genealogy episode.